We've all been there, right? That dreaded moment in the kitchen. You're seasoning a dish, the pepper shaker cap slips, and just like that, your perfectly good peas are a fiery disaster. Well, today we're going to talk about taming that over-peppered dish and turning a kitchen crisis into a major win.
You take that first taste and whoa, it is all pepper. Your eyes go wide, you get that sinking feeling, and you wonder if the whole thing is headed for the bin. But don't panic, it's not.
So let's think of these next steps as your culinary first aid kit. These are your first responders, your immediate go-to solutions to bring that dish right back from the brink.
Okay, the absolute first rule of any kitchen emergency is don't panic. You've got this. We're going to walk through some simple but really effective techniques that are going to salvage those peas. All right, so here are your 4 primary weapons against too much pepper. First up, you can dilute the heat by simply adding more peas. Easy. Or you can add fat to soften that sharp peppery bite. You can also balance it all out with a touch of sweetness. And finally, you can add acidity to totally rebalance the flavor profile. Each one works in a slightly different way.
You know, there's actually some pretty cool science behind why these fixes work. Diluting is the most direct approach. You're just spreading the pepper out over more food, making each bite way less intense. But balancing? Now that's like a clever negotiation with your taste buds. See, the compound in black pepper that gives it its heat is called pepperine, and it's fat-soluble. This means fats can literally help wash it away from your taste receptors. Meanwhile, sweet and acid just introduce new signals that distract your brain from all that peppery heat.
So let's stock your balancing toolkit. For fats, think a knob of butter, a drizzle of olive oil, or a swirl of cream to absorb that peppery compound. For sweetness, a tiny pinch of sugar or honey works wonders. You could even use something naturally sweet, like grated carrot or some sweet corn, to mellow things out. And for acidity, a small squeeze of lemon or lime is often all you need to brighten the whole dish and cut through the pepper's dominance.
But what if those basic fixes aren't quite enough? Or maybe your dish has a really specific flavor profile? Well, that's when we move on from first aid and we get into the specialty rescue missions.
For example, what if your peas are seasoned Caribbean style? We're talking coconut milk, all those rich and wonderful flavors. In that case, your approach needs to be a little more specific.
For this, you're going to want to lean right into the existing flavors. Go ahead and add more of the liquid base, so more coconut milk or water or some unsalted broth, and just let it simmer for a bit to combine. But honestly, the real pro move here is in how you serve it. Pairing the peas with something neutral like rice or roti helps absorb that extra spice with every single bite.
Okay, but what if you've tried everything and that pepper flavor is still just way too overpowering? This is not failure. This is an opportunity. It's time to pivot and turn your dish into something entirely new.
So those peas you thought were a total disaster?
Well, they can be blended with some broth to become this vibrant, peppery pea soup. The extra liquid perfectly dilutes the heat, and what was once a mistake is now the star feature.
Or you could just mash them into a zesty dip. I mean, imagine that peppery kick served with some plain crackers or vegetable sticks. It's an instant, super interesting appetizer.
And finally, think about using it as a component. You can mix those peas into mashed potatoes or even mashed pumpkin. You'll get this flavorful, complex filling for a pie or a side dish. The mildness of the potato will just soak up that excess pepper perfectly.
So what's the big idea behind all of this? It's that a simple mistake doesn't have to be the end. In fact, it can be the beginning of you really mastering your cooking.
I absolutely love this. It really is the core message today. That little slip of the wrist wasn't an error. It was just the beginning of a different and maybe even more interesting recipe. It's all about perspective and just a little bit of creativity. So the next time you find yourself in a similar spot, just remember you've got options. You can dilute, balance, or completely transform. Which brings me to my final thought for you. What's the best kitchen rescue you've ever pulled off? Think about it, because it's in those moments that we really, truly learn how to cook.